The story of cannabis legalization begins in the United States in the 90s with Ethan Nadelman. This Princetown University professor demanded that adults have the right to consume cannabis like alcohol and tobacco, a revolutionary idea at the time.
Legalization does not mean some libertarian scenario of free drugs available to everybody. What it means is looking for alternatives to the current policies. That's what's important. The vast majority of Americans are not going to become drug addicts, even if drugs are legal.
Professor Nadelman, you've raised...
I believe that nobody should be punished or discriminated against or amongst based solely on the drug they put in our body, right? That's my basic moral belief, and I believe that's fundamentally grounded in human rights, that the state should have no right to take away somebody's freedom or their property or their family or whatever simply because of the drug they put in their body. That's my core belief, and it's the core belief of many of the leading activists.
But public opinion was not ready. So he decided to organize referendums on the right to be treated with cannabis. Because marijuana is not just a psychoactive plant. Among its 100 molecules is, of course, THC, which is sought by joint smokers. It's what we call recreational cannabis. But there is also CBD, which has therapeutic properties. It has anxiolytic and anti-epileptic effects. It is used to treat certain pains and nausea. It is this medical use that Ethan Nadelman initially sought to promote.
Well, when we started on the medical marijuana campaign, we needed to change the image. And that meant taking a 55-year-old woman who had just come through chemotherapy for her breast cancer and who was using marijuana to deal with the nausea of chemotherapy or with the loss of appetite. It meant finding a young man who had multiple sclerosis and was in a wheelchair for whom smoking marijuana was the way to reduce the pain of his spasms in his legs. So what we did was identify people, real people, for whom marijuana was medically beneficial and who were very sympathetic in the public eye. And they became the face of the campaign. Because the fact of the matter is, when people like this, who are real medical patients, when they go and testify before a state legislature or Congress, and they come in their wheelchair, and they're older and they're responsible, even the most cold-hearted Republican, his eyes begin to tear up when they hear the story.
And this is how, in 20 years, the plant has been de-demonized. This strategy has led to more than 30 US states legalizing the therapeutic use of cannabis. This is often the first step before full legalization. In the United States, recreational cannabis is still banned at the federal level. But the debate on legalization is spreading at state level. In Michigan, constituents will vote by referendum for or against the legalization of cannabis. Since Colorado and Washington State in 2014, 9 states authorize recreational cannabis. Michigan may be the 10th. A victory might encourage its neighbors to follow suit.
We need some changes in Michigan.
Thanks to this referendum's proposal number 1, legalization supporters can finally present their arguments in the media.
I'm voting yes on 1. Yes on 1 means fewer drug dealers on the streets. Legalization is working in other places. In Colorado and Washington, no increase in marijuana use by teenagers.
Also, $500 million in new revenue for Michigan. Vote yes on 1.
I'm proud to vote yes.
Let's vote yes on Prop 1.
This campaign's organizer is Matt Sveish. He is the deputy director of the Marijuana Policy Project, the primary pro-legalization organization in the United States. He has already won 4 referendums in 4 different states and lost 1 campaign. For him, cannabis prohibition is a profoundly unfair system.
Why do we do this? Why do we care about ending marijuana prohibition? And the reason is it's been an abject failure in public policy. It's difficult to find examples of public policies that have failed so miserably in this country's history. And for me, it's about injustice. The injustice of the racial disparity. African Americans in Michigan were 2.6 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana than white Michiganders, even though both groups use marijuana at roughly the same rates. Please take your lawn signs. Let's show that there are people across the state that want Prop 1 to pass.
Another argument, the prohibition of cannabis is costly to the taxpayer.
There are many reasons why we should legalize, regulate, and tax marijuana. The first is law enforcement resources. It doesn't make sense for police and law enforcement to be going after people for marijuana offenses. It's a waste of their time. It's a waste of our public tax dollars. In addition, we're clogging up courts with unnecessary cases, wasting the time of prosecutors, wasting the time of judge, creating more costs for the public. It's all a massive waste, and we're all better off by allowing law enforcement to focus on real serious crime in this country.
Attacking criminal organizations by depriving them of some of their resources is one of the objectives of the bill. Remove the production and distribution of marijuana from the illegal market and prevent the proceeds of the marijuana trade from going to criminal businesses or gangs. A few weeks later, nothing seems to be able to stop the wave of legalizations.
It's my great pleasure to say that we have legalized marijuana in Michigan.
The Yes campaign won with 55% of the votes.
We did it. We won. We fucking won.
Michigan is the 10th victory for recreational cannabis. Does legalization keep its promises? What are the benefits for the consumer and society? Part of the answer can be found in Colorado.
Here we are in Trinidad, Colorado, about 13 miles from the New Mexico border. We are currently walking down what the locals call the cannabis corridor. We have about 6 to 7 cannabis dispensaries right here on this street. The parking spots are full up, ready for the consumers to come by and purchase their legal cannabis.
Here, legal cannabis has been available over the counter since 2014. This business attracts customers from neighboring states. Surrounded by 8 prohibitionist states, Colorado has become a cannabis oasis.
So when we first enter Strawberry Fields, you'll enter up into our lobby. You'll be greeted by our security guard, Tony, which will verify your credentials and ensure that you could shop with us and purchase legal cannabis. We also have some other security measures in this room, such as our cameras. We are required by law to keep that rolling. It'll record for about 24 hours of the day, and we maintain footage for about 40 days. Welcome in, brother. How we doing? We also have our restricted access area posted, which is Rule 403 in the Colorado Cannabis Law, stating that it is a restricted access you're about to enter in. You must be over the age of 21.
In order to attract the black market regulars, these shops offer a good 20 varieties of dried flowers. The dried flower is the part of the plant that contains THC and the part that consumers smoke. With this supply 10 times bigger than on the street, buying drugs has become a full-blown commercial experience. You come here to choose your weed the way you would choose your tea. And to prevail over the dealers, the legal market doesn't hesitate in offering much stronger products.
The regulated system, you're able to come in and you're able to browse around. You're able to get educated from highly knowledgeable bud tenders. Compared to the black market, you're going to end up in a shady warehouse or a shady residence, and you're really only going to be able to get whatever they have to offer.
I can purchase it on the streets, and I feel like I'm funding a lot of dirty business. I'm sure it all rolls back up to the cartel. So I figure I'd just rather come here and get it where I know it's tested and it's, I'm helping local businesses, I'm helping an economy grow, I'm doing it out in the open, and it's actually cheaper. Back home I'd pay $300, $350 for an ounce. Here I can get an ounce for $60.
Since 2014, $6 billion worth of marijuana has been sold in Colorado stores, an amount that hasn't lined the traffickers' pockets. On this point, this promise by legalization supporters has been kept. Today, this state has more cannabis shops than Starbucks and McDonald's combined.